What if your entire life was so miserable that your biggest dream was simply eating bread with jam and finally living like a normal human being? That's the brutal world of Chainsaw Man, the anime that completely shattered traditional shonen expectations by mixing chaotic violence, emotional trauma, dark humor, psychological horror, and some of the most cinematic animation modern anime has ever produced. The story follows Denji, a teenage boy trapped at absolute rock bottom after inheriting massive debt from his dead father, forcing him to survive in poverty by hunting devils for the Yakuza while literally selling parts of his own body just to stay alive. His only real companion is Pochita, an adorable chainsaw devil that looks like a tiny demon puppy fused with construction equipment. And together, they barely scrape through life while Denji dreams of simple things most people take for granted: decent food, affection, comfort, and maybe finally talking to girls. That simplicity is what makes him feel painfully human compared to most anime protagonists chasing grand destinies or heroic dreams. But everything changes when the Yakuza betray him, murder him brutally, and throw his body away like garbage, only for Pochita to sacrifice himself by merging with Denji's body and becoming his heart. Denji awakens transformed into the terrifying Chainsaw Man, with chainsaws erupting from his face and arms as he tears through enemies in one of the most insane first transformations in anime history. The series immediately establishes that Denji's power doesn't come from nobility or justice, but from desperation, loneliness, and survival instinct, making him fundamentally different from classic heroes. After the massacre, Denji is recruited into Public Safety Devil Hunters, a government organization tasked with fighting devils born from humanity's fears, where he meets Makima, a calm, beautiful, and deeply unsettling woman whose smallest acts of kindness instantly hook Denji emotionally because nobody has ever shown him genuine care before. That emotional vulnerability becomes one of the series' most disturbing themes, because the deeper the story progresses, the more terrifying Makima's kindness becomes. Denji soon joins forces with Power, a chaotic and arrogant blood fiend with zero self-control and maximum gremlin energy, and Aki, an exhausted and serious devil hunter barely holding the team together emotionally. Their dysfunctional living situation slowly becomes the emotional core of the anime, using tiny everyday moments like eating meals, arguing over chores, and surviving awkward conversations to make the characters feel incredibly real beneath all the violence and horror. At the same time, the world building becomes increasingly darker as viewers learn that devils are literally born from human fear itself, meaning humanity unknowingly creates its own monsters psychologically. Fear guns and a gun devil is born. Fear darkness, and the darkness devil grows stronger. This brilliant concept transforms anxiety and trauma into physical horror, making the power system one of anime's smartest metaphors for human fear. Things become even more disturbing during the Eternity Devil arc, where the team gets trapped inside an endless hotel floor where time no longer moves forward, pushing everyone towards psychological collapse, while Denji responds by chainsawing the monster continuously for days with insane determination. It's during moments like these that viewers realize Denji himself is deeply emotionally damaged, so accustomed to suffering that pain barely scares him anymore. Unlike traditional heroic protagonists, the characters in Chainsaw Man feel broken, unstable, lonely, and emotionally desperate, which is exactly why the series feels so grounded despite its insanity. Just when the audience begins feeling attached to the characters and their strange found family dynamic, the anime suddenly explodes into shocking violence and devastating loss, brutally killing characters without warning and proving that absolutely nobody is safe. The unpredictability became one of the biggest reasons the series exploded online, because every episode felt dangerous and emotionally stressful in ways most anime rarely attempt. Beneath all the bloodshed, however, the true horror slowly reveals itself to be emotional manipulation rather than devils alone, especially through Makima's increasingly disturbing control over Denji's emotions and desires. Denji mistakes attention and affection for genuine love, making his psychological vulnerability more tragic than any physical battle in the series. Meanwhile, Aki sacrifices more and more of himself for revenge. Power hides loneliness behind chaotic humor. And Denji continues chasing basic happiness while unknowingly walking deeper into emotional exploitation. Fan theories exploded across the internet because many viewers believe Chainsaw Man is secretly less about monsters and more about how Denji mistakes attention and affection for genuine love, making his psychological vulnerability more tragic than any physical battle in the series. Meanwhile, Aki sacrifices more and more of himself for revenge. Power hides loneliness behind chaotic humor, and Denji continues chasing basic happiness while unknowingly walking deeper into emotional exploitation. Fan theories exploded across the internet because many viewers believe Chainsaw Man is secretly less about monsters and more about how trauma, loneliness, fear, desire, and emotional emptiness shape people's lives. Denji represents someone so deprived of love and ordinary human experiences that even the smallest amount of kindness becomes dangerous to him, which explains why audiences connect to him so strongly despite his chaotic personality. Combined with MAPPA's movie-quality animation, cinematic camera work, dark lighting, emotional silences, brutal action scenes, horror aesthetics, and unforgettable characters, the series became a global phenomenon because it feels like far more than a typical action anime. Underneath the chainsaws, gore, and memes is a deeply human story about broken people desperately searching for connection in a world that constantly exploits fear, loneliness, and desire, which is exactly why Chainsaw Man continues dominating anime discussions, theory videos, TikTok edits, and viral recap content worldwide. But here's where Chainsaw Man becomes genuinely terrifying once you stop looking at it like a normal action anime and start realizing it's secretly a psychological horror story disguised as chaotic entertainment. Because after all the chainsaws, explosions, blood, memes, and insanity settle down, the real question hiding underneath the entire series is actually horrifyingly simple. What happens to a person who has never truly been loved? And trust me, once you start viewing Denji through that lens, the entire anime changes completely. Suddenly, the violence feels sadder, the humor feels darker. Even the happiest scenes start feeling uncomfortable because you realize how emotionally fragile Denji really is. This dude spent his childhood starving, isolated, emotionally neglected, manipulated by adults, and treated like disposable trash by society. So when somebody like Makima enters his life and gives him food, attention, physical affection, and the illusion of purpose, his brain immediately attaches itself to her emotionally, like she's the center of his universe. And honestly, that's what makes her scarier than almost every devil in the series. Not because she screams or acts evil, but because she understands exactly what Denji lacks emotionally and uses it against him with terrifying precision. Think about how genius that writing is for a second. Most anime villains try to dominate the world through force. Makima barely raises her voice. She controls people psychologically. Every interaction with her feels calm, soft, almost comforting. And somehow that makes everything worse. She doesn't manipulate Denji through fear alone. Denji confuses basic human kindness with love because he genuinely doesn't know the difference yet. And the scary part, a lot of viewers understood that feeling instantly. That's why Makima became such a massive internet phenomenon. Anime fans weren't just reacting to her design or personality. They were reacting to how disturbingly realistic her emotional manipulation actually felt. And this is where the anime secretly starts critiquing modern loneliness in a way most people completely overlook. And trust me, this series loves emotional ambushes. Take Aki, for example. At first, he looks like your typical cool anime rival. Serious, skilled, emotionally reserved, tragic backstory, permanent exhausted expression. Standard anime setup, right? Wrong. The deeper the story goes, the more heartbreaking Aki becomes, because unlike Denji and Power, he actually tries to act like a functioning adult in a completely dysfunctional world. This man is carrying impossible emotional weight constantly. His family was destroyed by the Gun Devil. His lifespan keeps shrinking every time he uses cursed powers. He watches partners die repeatedly, And despite all of that, he still slowly begins caring for Denji and Power like family, even though he knows attachment in this world usually ends in pain. That emotional conflict is what makes him such an incredible character. Aki desperately wants revenge, but at the same time, he quietly starts wanting something even scarier: a peaceful, normal life. And in Chainsaw Man, wanting happiness is practically a death flag. Then there's Power, who honestly might be one of the most chaotic anime characters ever created. At first, she feels like pure comic relief. Loud, narcissistic, completely unhinged, and operating on approximately 3 brain cells at all times. But underneath all the gremlin energy is somebody deeply terrified of vulnerability. Power lies constantly, runs from danger constantly, acts selfish constantly. But over time, viewers slowly realize she behaves that way because she genuinely doesn't understand trust or emotional intimacy properly. She's emotionally immature in a way that feels weirdly sad once you notice it. The more time she spends living with Denji and Aki, the more human she slowly becomes emotionally. And that gradual emotional growth makes later moments hit like a truck emotionally because the anime tricks you into lowering your guard first. That's honestly the evil brilliance of this series. It weaponizes emotional attachment against the audience. The show spends so much time building cozy little moments between characters that viewers almost forget they're living in one of anime's most dangerous worlds. Then, suddenly, somebody dies horribly, everything falls apart, and the audience collectively experiences emotional whiplash. The unpredictability became one of the biggest reasons the anime exploded online, because nobody watching felt safe emotionally anymore. Every episode carried tension because viewers realized the story wasn't following normal shonen rules. Friendship doesn't guarantee survival here. Character development doesn't guarantee survival. Even happiness feels temporary. And somehow, that danger makes the emotional moments feel more valuable instead of less. Now let's talk about the devils themselves, because this concept is secretly one of the most psychologically genius power systems in anime history. Devils grow stronger based on humanity's fear. Let that sink in. Human anxiety literally creates monsters powerful enough to destroy society. Fear guns, gun devil; fear darkness, darkness devil; fear eternity, eternity devil. The entire world of Chainsaw Man is basically collective human trauma given physical form. That's such an insane metaphor when you think about it deeply. The anime turns psychological fear into literal reality. And the stronger society fears something, the more unstoppable it becomes. Which honestly feels disturbingly relevant in modern life, where fear spreads constantly through media, panic, and social anxiety. And speaking of terrifying concepts, the Gun Devil might be one of the smartest pieces of symbolism in modern anime. The Gun Devil isn't just a monster, it represents mass violence, collective fear, terrorism, and sudden tragedy on a global scale. The destruction surrounding it feels horrifyingly realistic compared to traditional anime villains. Entire cities are wiped out within seconds. Civilians die randomly. Survivors are traumatized permanently. The series intentionally makes these moments feel chaotic and emotionally ugly instead of stylish or exciting, which again reinforces one of Chainsaw Man's hidden themes. Violence destroys ordinary lives far more brutally than most action anime are willing to admit. But then the anime somehow becomes even more psychologically disturbing. Once you realize Denji's chainsaw form itself symbolizes something deeper too. Chainsaws are loud, messy, violent, uncontrolled. Denji's transformations aren't elegant superhero moments. They're painful explosions of rage, survival instinct, and emotional chaos. Every fight feels desperate, animalistic, unstable. Unlike polished anime heroes who look cooler during battles, Denji often looks horrifying during combat. Blood everywhere, broken limbs, wild screaming. The series constantly blurs the line between hero and monster intentionally, which makes viewers question whether Denji is becoming powerful or simply losing pieces of his who.